All right, folks, we're here with Charlie Leonard. Happy New Year, Charlie.
Happy New Year, yes, sir.
Thank you for having us again for the annual real estate recap for 2022 and see kind of what the state of real estate was last year and what, may the outlook be towards the future, which is always difficult to predict.
Happy to be here. Let me fasten my seatbelt.
So it sounds like 2022 was one heck of a ride. So between going back to the start of the pandemic to current situation, tell us where we're at, Charlie.
Oh my God! I mean, if you, we're running some numbers, but if you look at the actual average sale price at the pandemic, March 2020, you were looking at approximately $400,000, the average sale price.
Okay.
Average. Fast forward, the peak of this year, which was probably October, $706,000.
So we're going from March, so pre-pandemic. So the Super Bowl's here in Miami, the big parties, everyone's on South Beach and all that. Pandemic is about to hit, but right before the pandemic hit, the average home in Miami Springs, well, we remember before all this craziness was around just over $400,000 for your typical, which is what, like a 3.2, around 1,800 square feet?
3.2, 1,800 went in March
right.
2020. The average was about 411,000.
411, and then that's gone up to
October of this year.
Or of last year, 2022.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, okay.
October of 2022, we just ended. 706 was the peak.
So down from 411 to 706, so almost $300,000 increase.
$300,000, yeah.
In under 2 years. Wow.
That's building equity fast.
That is huge. That is huge. Well, and then there was that dip back. If we go back even further, in 2008, there was the dip because of the financial crisis. So people who've survived that, now they're seeing their values have gone through the roof.
I remember houses during the financial crisis, the housing crisis, 2008, 2009, 2010, 140,000.
Wow.
Which was nuts.
$140,000.
Any one of those houses today are at least 600,000.
Wow. And those, 140 to 600,000. That's even maybe on the smaller scale. That's you're talking about 3.1 through 2.
Yeah,
2
3,
something.
It's more or less same 3 average. Typical home.
Wow. So it's gone up from 400 to 700,000. Now, I don't want to jump into it, but so tell us about how that grew throughout last year. Where did it start off at the beginning of 22?
Okay, so we, as you know, we do a market report every week. If anybody wants to receive it, just send me a text with your email. We'll be happy to send it out to you every week. Usually goes out on Mondays. But if you look at the market report from early this year, take a look real quick here. So the average sale price January of 2022 was 587,000.
587 to start. So a year ago, in January.
A year ago, January 2nd, 2022.
587.
587, rounding up. Now you average that to December 30th, 2022. The average close sale was 712.
Wow. So from 587 to 712. That's in just 1 year.
In 1 year, you're looking at what, about 120,000 or something?
In appreciation in the average home. And obviously, every home being a little bit different, but the average home increasing that by that much. That's huge. So for those who've invested in Miami Springs, they're seeing a great, kind of a return in terms of their value. Obviously, the challenges for the people trying to get in, right?
Absolutely, and the fact that the prices are high,
right?
The increase in interest rates, has basically shut some people out of the market.
Right.
Not just in Miami Springs, but we focus on Miami Springs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, some of them can no longer afford to buy in Miami Springs, at least at the interest rates the way they are now.
So Charlie, for someone who's moving into Miami Springs today, with the interest rate, we'll talk a little bit more about interest rates, but from an income level, what are you saying the income requirement is today to buy, let's say, a first-time home here in Miami Springs?
Well, let me put it this way. The banks, they look at ratios. Debt to income ratio for housing expenses, debt to income ratio for your mortgage.
Right.
So they typically like to see, and of course, every bank, sometimes they'll stretch the rubber band a little bit.
Sure.
But usually they want to see, let's say, no more than 35% of your income going towards your mortgage.
Right.
Going towards your housing expense. And usually no more than 30% going towards your mortgage. Again, some lenders will go as high as, in the mid 40s.
Right.
But that's what you want to look at.
So in today's market, if let's say if the average is 700,000, and let's say someone's putting 20% of that down, so 20% on 700,000, you're talking about $140,000.
Yeah.
So just from a down payment, the amount you need, if you're coming in with a traditional 20%, now obviously some people qualify for other loan programs, which may not require that much down, but if they're coming in for a traditional package, you're talking about a $140,000 down payment.
Which is a lot of...
It's a lot. Not everyone has that available to put down right now.
Add your closing costs to that
Right.
140?
Correct. So on let's call it an average home, what would you say would be a typical monthly payment in today's market?
I'll tell you right now. So let me just reach for my calculator.
Sure.
my steel trap.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
To be but let me just calculate that for real quick. So let's see. Okay, hold on.
So we're talking about an average home around 700,000. You're putting 20% down, so it's about 140,000 plus your closing costs and those other expenses that come on closing.
So we're looking at 700,000 minus the 140.
Right.
So you're looking at financing 560. And let's say 6.2%.
Okay.
Interest rate.
Right.
More or less what you would find today. You're looking at principal and interest alone.
Right. Not including insurance and
Not
taxes.
including insurance or taxes.
Right.
And insurance is something else that we'll talk about, which is the next shoe to drop.
Yeah.
But anyways, you're looking at $3,400 a month.
So $3,400 just in principal and interest.
Just in principal and interest.
So $3,400 principal and interest for your average home in Miami Springs today. Just nothing fancier with so $140,000, you say $3,400 a month.
$3,400 a month.
And then say, what are the taxes on a typical home? Someone coming in, what's that coming in at?
Well, that's the thing about the taxes is that, when banks calculate, they usually look at what the current taxes are.
Right.
And they kind of project what they could be. So when you're buying a house from someone that's lived there for many, many years, those taxes are going to be much higher than someone that maybe bought a house 2 years ago and now they decide to sell it.
Right.
So they'll calculate that. But let's say in this estimate, they calculated that, this is so low. The taxes here on this particular software is showing a very low tax. But I would say, let's say at a minimum, you're looking at $7,000 a year, let's say, in taxes.
So you talk about
$600 a month.
$600 a month in taxes.
So $600 a month plus the 34, you're at $4,000.
Right. And now add the insurance.
And now add the insurance. And I have to, for this particular exercise, I would say add at least $300
for insurance. Okay, so
now
we're talking about $4,300, maybe $4,300 depending on the house. And credits and etc. Could be $4,500, $4,300 for your average MiamiSprings home on a typical 30-year fixed mortgage. Is what you're asking. 30-year fixed mortgage, about $4,300 to $4,500 a month.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, what we don't know is that particular buyer. Do they have car payments?
Yeah.
Do they have student loans? Inflation, groceries, gas.
Yeah.
So, you can just kind of imagine what kind of salary.
Yeah. So just in payments alone, so let's do $4,500 times 12. You're talking about 48. I'm thinking from about might come in for about $60,000 a year. Is that right? Close to about $60,000 a year in just mortgage payments.
Just mortgage, just housing.
Right. Just in housing.
Housing.
So if the bank is looking to have that be just a third of your income, just multiply that times 3, and they're looking at $180,000 income. So the family coming in, from a realistic standpoint, your income level needs to be close to that $180,000 to $200,000 mark to be able to get a typical home, not even one of the bigger homes, but a typical.
I think I commented once. I think the last time we were together that a number of our transactions this last year were to young doctors, young professionals, lawyers, doctors, dentists. So that their income levels are much higher than
the average individual.
Joe,
So I mean, as is, just the average income in let's call it South Florida. It's difficult just to find rent, much less purchase a home. So at this point,
that's a whole other story. Rents. I honestly I don't even know how people can afford rents. It's nuts. I'm seeing rents at least $4,000 in Miami Springs. That maybe 2 years ago they were at $2,500, $2,800. Upwards of $4,000.
Well, you talk about the insurance. So someone who's got, let's say let's say they have their house paid for, but they still have to pay the taxes, they still have to pay insurance. So as the insurance rates go up, they have to raise the rent to pay for those other expenses that the landlord has.
Absolutely. You want to have insurance, even if your house is paid off.
Oh, 100%.
Because you just never know. Especially if you have a tenant or something, it's getting quite difficult for some people, for sure.
So if you're an existing homeowner, it's great because you see your value, but the insurance is not great. So the value going up is wonderful, but the insurance that's coming with it, and they're scary to say, but there may be some homeowners who may get pushed out because of the prices of insurance. Taxes, they're kind of safe, right? Because you
have Save Our Homes, so you got that cap,
right?
But as the expenses go up with inflation and insurance rates, Miami Springs is an older community, so a lot of the houses are older, and insurance companies and mainly citizens in Florida, because there are not many other carriers that are writing policies in Florida.
Right.
We're seeing quotes that are in my opinion, pretty outrageous. 7,000, 8,000, 10,000. And they're very picky. The insurance. The roof cannot be older than this. It has to have a minimum life expectancy of that.
Right.
You gotta have updated plumbing. You can't have cast iron. If you have cloth wiring, it's forget it. We're not gonna touch it.
Wow.
So it's becoming difficult, and I don't know where that's going to go, especially after Hurricane Ian in the West Coast. That's going to affect all citizen policyholders when it comes to renewal time. So
there's no good news on the insurance front.
No, there's no good news on the insurance front. So and I certainly don't have any answers for it, except
Now, for people who are interested in buying and selling, the market is shifting a little bit because of the interest rates. Tell us a little bit more about what's going on there.
Well, as expected, I've been, seeing the market, talking about it, that inventory would eventually increase.
Right.
And at the beginning of 2022, there were 14 active listings in Miami Springs, January of 2022.
So a year ago, at this time, there were 14 active listings.
14 active listings a year ago. December 30th of this 2022, there were 31. So you can see the inventory.
The inventory has doubled in the last year.
In the last year, the inventory has doubled. The prices have gone up because back then, the active list price was $716.
Right.
So the active list price December 31 was $871.
Wow.
That's asking price.
Right.
We talked about the
sales
price.
And a year ago, the sales. January. You said the sales price was around the average close sales around
586.
586, and now it's over 700,000.
It's over 700. The average close sales.
So just the pricing increase as the market has adjusted. That pricing does price some people out that can't afford a home of that size. The other portion of it being now with interest rates going up, again, it's a bigger monthly payment that like we said, you're talking about an income of 180 to 200,000 a year
Exactly, yeah.
to be able to afford a quote unquote average home in Miami Springs. So that's knowing what the average income is in the area, it definitely prices out a certain number of people. Like you said, now you're getting young professionals that are moving in.
We're seeing that more and more. But it's just the market continues to be strong.
Right.
But it has slowed down. I think I mentioned to you that out of the 31 active listings, 11 of those have had price reductions.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that the values have gone down, but it means that the expectation of sellers, when the market was really hot, now they're starting to see that things are not moving, so they start adjusting the prices to try to get the houses sold.
Right.
Because there's still a lot of uncertainty out there. With the economy, it's still, whether or not the recession is here, is it coming? There has been some relief. You see, gas prices have gone down a little bit.
That's definitely stabilized.
That's helped.
Yeah.
But the interest rates, they're still high, much higher than they were at the beginning of the year.
Right.
So,
Now, let me, in a historical standpoint, if we take big picture view, interest rates are still relatively, obviously higher than they were in this kind of long period of low interest rates. But in the scheme of things, they're not really historically high. Is that fair to say?
The interest rates are great. I remember when people were dying to get 6% interest rate.
Right.
Because so 6 is not bad.
Right. It's not as wonderful as 3, but
or even 2.5 that some people were getting in January.
Okay.
But it's still not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is that the values have gone up. So then the 6% at a much higher value is different than 6% at a lower value. So we get back to that affordability issue,
So, but in that transition now, the homes previously were selling on average what they were lasting on average like 3 months or so.
You're talking days on the market?
Yeah.
Well, days on when the market was peaking, it was definitely under 30 days.
Okay. Wow, not even a month.
Not even a month.
Okay.
20s. I mean, you'd have listings that would sell in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week.
And you had bidding, lots of heavy bidding on certain homes.
You'd have multiple offers, all that. That's changed.
Right.
That doesn't mean multiple offers have gone away, because if it's the right house and it checks all the right boxes, you're going to have a lot of people that want that house, so you might find multiple offers in those situations.
Right.
But the days on the market have increased anywhere from, let's say it was in the mid 20 days on the market. Now you're looking at 42, 43 days on the market.
Got it. Okay.
So, it's taking longer, but still things are selling.
So if someone is in a hurry, they need to call a realtor like right away.
And they need to be pricing it right.
Okay. Don't go too high.
Yeah, I remember 6-7 months ago, a lot of sellers would ask me, what do you think of the sale price? Well, I think this should be the list price, but the way the market is, let's go for the home run.
Right.
So we would, price it higher, and most of the time they'd sell it.
Okay.
Because the demand was there, the interest were still there. Now we'll probably tell a seller, listen, let's get on base.
Yeah.
and
price it
price it right.
appropriately for the current market conditions.
Price it appropriately, because and every seller is different. They have time, so they want to test the market. Others I just want to move on to my next, chapter in life, and let's price it right and move on.
Now, something I comment online, and I see people posting and saying, "Oh, this pricing is ridiculous," and I remind people, where are the new houses in central Miami-Dade County? There is no inventory. There is no new inventory of single-family detached home with land in central Miami-Dade. There might be somewhat south down and by Homestead or something like that, right?
Yeah, way south, and even then, the size of the lot is not what you would find here in Miami Springs.
Yeah, and they're going to be.
Your average lot size here is at least 9,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Which is, it's nice. It's comfortable.
You can put a pool. You can put a boat. You have plenty of room for the kids to play in the backyard. You have a party, and you're centrally located.
And that's the key.
Right.
And like I tell people, you could be in that madness of Miami-Dade County, beyond 36th Street, and when you turn it to Miami Springs, it's like if the dimmer went down.
The stress of the day starts to go away.
Everything goes away. You're home.
Yes.
Home sweet home.
Yes, sir.
And it's a blessing to be able to live here. I'm looking out the window because I think Sean just got here.
All right, we'll pause here for a second as Sean comes in.
A few moments later.
We're very grateful to the support the community has given us, and past clients, new clients, repeat clients. It's all good. We're very blessed.
Well, and Charlie, listen, and we're blessed to have you guys here within our community. You guys do so much for our community. You know, we were talking about before the wonderful event you had out here for the Polar Express with the Girl Scouts,
Yeah.
and that's just one of the many things you guys do here for the community. So we're blessed to have you guys, and you guys are wonderful to work with, and you guys give so much back to the community. So it's a blessing, I think, both ways.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks. Can't wait to do that Polar Express again this year.
That was fun.
It's had a blast. It was really fun.
There you go. You heard it directly from a parent with kids.
with little ones, and another one on the way.
Yeah.
Any second. If he takes off here in a hurry, we know what's going on.
My wife could go any minute.
So, on that note, you know, Sean, tell us, you know, some highlights from your perspective, or some of the numbers. And, you know, we talked about houses going from about 500 and change at the beginning of last year to closing at around 700 and change at the end of last year.
Yep.
Now we're kicking off. We're here in January 2023, new year. We're always, you know, who knows what the crystal ball holds for this year and where interest rates will be. We don't.
Yeah.
We've been proven wrong before, so you know.
I mean, we've both been saying that things are going to flatten off for the last year. We thought, okay, you know, things are going to start to kind of flatten off, and it just never did. There was no down season at all last year. It just kept on pumping and kept on rising, and you know, at the end, the last 3 months, I've seen a little bit of a decline in the sharpness of the rise.
Yeah.
You know, so I think. Now I'll say it again. I think things might be flattening off as far as price increases goes, but we just don't know.
Right. So maybe stabilizing.
Maybe stabilizing as far as like the rate of increase. But it was just the last year the numbers they're just, it looks like a different market. If you look at the numbers, it looks like a totally different market. Like for example, last year as far as how many houses sold above 700,000. For example, there was, let me see here, there was 132 sales last year, there was 122 sales this year. There were 10 listings that sold over 700,000 last year. 10 listings which sold over 700. There were 41 listings which sold over 700,000 this year. So it just,
hey, when you say this year, you're talking about 2022.
2022, yeah, sorry, 2022, all of 2022. And
so there were 40 homes that sold.
There were 41 homes in 2022 which sold above 700,000. In 2021, there were 10.
Wow, so it went from 10 to 41.
Yeah.
Wow.
Over 700,000.
Over 700,000.
Over $1 million. Do you have that there?
Yes, I do. So if we're including like the 998 and 999, which
let's round up to $1 million.
which we can round up to $1 million, there were 8 houses.
At a million or higher.
Or higher.
We sold at basically $1 million or higher. Last year there were 2. There were 2.
So you say in 21 there were 2, and in 2022 there were. It's okay. Yeah, we're in 2023.
In 21 there were 2 houses which sold for
$1 million or higher.
In 22 there were 7. I'm
Wow.
sorry.
8. No.
I'm sorry. 8.
8 homes that sold in 2022 at $1 million or higher here in Miami Springs.
And then the 900,000s, there were another 6. There were no 900,000s last year. There were a couple 800s. Like I said, it looks like a different market. It looks like a totally different neighborhood.
Listen, you can't find a house in VG right now listed for less than 500,000. That's the cheapest house on the market right now. 500,000.
$500,000.
499.9, whatever.
Right.
In Miami Springs, you're looking at least 550.
Wow. For the cheapest, just an entry home.
Entry home, $550,000.
Is there even one listed for 550?
I think there's one. I'm gonna tell you exactly the numbers, which is amazing. That's what Miami Springs is.
So, and while you pull that, one of the things we were talking about before.
549 is the least expensive house listed in Miami Springs.
Right now. Well, so right now, January 2023, the least expensive home, $549,000 here in Springs.
That's 281 Lafayette Drive. We have an open house coming up. There
you go.
Pass by and see it because it's actually a very, very nice house, very nice little starter house.
Yeah.
So now one of the things that people say, oh, you know, prices are ridiculous. I'm like, guys, Did you guys see the snow in Buffalo? You see the snow? People do get tired of living in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, people realize that winter is an option.
Yeah.
So,
Now look what's on Sean's lap. He's got a laptop. He's connected to Wi-Fi. People have learned through the pandemic that they can kind of live wherever they want.
Yeah.
So why live in the crazy snow? So part of that pandemic has caused a shift, a demographic shift, where people now choose where they want to live a little differently. So the demand to live here in South Florida is astronomical.
Astronomical.
well,
And-
when you look at the market, yeah, you're seeing the market slowing down nationwide.
Right.
You're seeing the price appreciation or the percentage of appreciation slowing down, leveling off.
Right.
But that doesn't apply to every location. There's some locations that are still seeing nice increases. Miami, Florida,
Yeah.
because people want to live in this warm climate.
Well, and Miami is an international brand, right? People want to live here from South America, from the Caribbean, from
You can
Europe.
connect to anywhere
From
in the
Canada.
world from Miami.
Yeah.
The connectivity that we have here is
World class.
world class, and there's very few places in the world that you have the connectivity that Miami has to just about anywhere in the country.
Well, and alluding to what we were talking about before Shane came in, where are the empty or lots for where you can buy a house with a lot?
Oh yeah.
And there's nothing in central Miami-Dade County that's being built. There's no, the areas of Doral have already been built out. Those homes are
Those homes are expensive, and
Yeah.
we talked about earlier. Where's the lot? The
Yeah.
lot size.
Yeah.
They're small. They're almost townhouse-like yards.
Yep.
Yet the houses are separate. They're
Yeah,
not
well,
connected.
the edge of your house is the wall of somebody else's house. It's
not-
there's no room for a boat, no room for a pool. Not like what we have here, where you can have the best of South Florida, centrally located here in Miami Springs, easy access to everything South Florida has to offer.
Well, the other thing is that if you drive around Miami Springs, you're going to see a lot of either houses that were demolished, that they're
Yeah.
building big new houses,
Yes.
or you're seeing major renovations, additions. I mean, just get in your car or get in your golf cart and just drive around.
Yeah.
And you'll be amazed of the kind of investment that people are making in their homes.
Yeah.
It is wonderful to see people,
It's
investing
great.
in their homes. It's a fantastic investment, and obviously seeing the returns. When at the beginning of a year ago at this time, you talk about the high 500,000 range, and
Yeah.
now we're in the over 700,000 range.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not really that much of a surprise to see how values have been rising, taking that into consideration along with the pandemic rise in prices. But
Sure.
people have really been taking care of their houses and putting money into Miami Springs, and there's new development, there's new people, there's a lot of new stuff going on here. So seeing the houses rise like that isn't exactly surprising.
Yeah.
People are finally seeing maybe what Miami Springs is.
And Miami Springs is our jewel, right? It's a beautiful place to live. It's a quiet
You don't have to
neighborhood.
tell us.
So
We're
it's-
with you on that
yeah.
for sure.
as people as qualified buyers shop around and discover Miami Springs for the first time. In fact, let me ask you, what do you see the people that you speak to that just discover Miami Springs for the first time? What are they most surprised about?
I'll tell you a story that happened to me yesterday. I was starving yesterday for lunch, and I said, you know what, I want to have some sushi at the sushi sake place.
Yeah, delicious.
So I called in, I placed my order, I walked over to the place, and as I'm walking out with my bag, a client comes in. They used to live in South Dade. They bought here 5 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey Victor, how are you, Rachel, this and that. Oh, I love it. I go, so tell me, so how do you love Miami Springs? He's like, I love it. I'm not going anywhere. But there's so many people that tell us the same thing, that they've discovered it, and they don't want to leave. Just like when you and I moved here.
Oh my God, no.
We
I'm
discovered
not going
it
anywhere
your
else.
parents. We're not leaving.
It's
Where?
more the family moves in more than anything.
Where are you going to go and get this?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's
I'm in the process of pulling my mom and my aunt slowly over here in Palmetto Bay, and I'm just reeling them in.
There you go. But it is the best place to live
It is.
in Miami-Dade County, and just centrally
Listen, the other
located.
thing is that no place is perfect.
Yeah.
You know, all municipalities, have their issues that come up now and then. No
Sure.
place is perfect, but for the most part, Miami Springs is just a wonderful place to raise a family. It's safe. You can ride your bike. You can ride your golf cart. You can go to numerous parks, the rec center, the aquatic center, the senior center, the golf course. I mean, it's endless.
Well, you said it, as when you're coming through the hustle and the traffic of Miami, and you get off and you pull off at 36 and you turn into the neighborhood, and it's all of a sudden the stress of the day tends to come off and shed off as you come into our quiet streets and the trees, and just a beautiful place to live, where you can get, if you have that career ambition, you have that we have great jobs here in South Florida.
Yeah.
Let's be in terms of there are a lot of career people who live here in a variety of industries in South Florida. But that kind of quiet, that, let's call it classic home, right? The traditional family community. That's Miami Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the suburban neighborhood that you would see in the movies.
Yep.
And, I'm still looking for Beaver, but he probably moved out 50 years ago. But anyways.
Yeah.
So,
But-
Sean, I'm sorry.
No, great.
What number? You got any of the exciting numbers to share with us?
Sure. Well, I mean, you guys already went over the total volume.
Well, we talked a little bit about
Yeah, but tell us about the volume.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so
This is all of 2022 total transaction volume, and this is 2021 total transaction volume.
that's including commercial properties, right?
No, this is just residential.
Residential and single family.
Yeah, single family and condos.
Okay. So then I'll give you. Did you talk about what the biggest house looks like? Like the.
Oh no, we haven't talked about that.
No, you can talk about
Yeah,
that.
let's go there.
So if you take all of the volume together
Uh-huh.
and you look at what that one house would look like, all the houses combined.
Yeah.
It would have 403 bedrooms.
Ouch.
263 bathrooms, 9 half bathrooms, 196,000 square feet. It would have 80 garages, an 80-car garage, and it would have over 1 million square feet of land. So that would be the mega house.
What would the FPNL bill be?
No, very high.
Probably high.
So, but basically, 1 million square feet of land was sold last year. Wow.
1 million square feet of land.
Here in just Miami Springs and Virginia Gardens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the average house that's sold still isn't that, it hasn't changed. It's still a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, little over 1,650 square feet.
Right.
Built in 1954, little over about 9,500 square foot lot. That's your standard Miami Springs, average house.
It's your typical.
It's your typical house.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, those houses, a house like that, in decent condition, the average sale price is going to be around $664,000.
Wow.
So that's where we are as far as averages. Last year, again, 2021, that was the 2022 numbers. 2021 numbers would be somewhere around 520,000 for the average house.
All right, so a big increase from 522 to over 600,000.
Yeah, huge increase.
Sean, what was the most expensive home sold last year? You had several $1 million plus homes.
We have several million plus homes, but surprisingly, the most expensive house it just beat last year's most expensive house. 2021 was 1.2 million.
Right.
And 2022 was 1.35 million. That was over on Hunting Lodge Drive.
Okay.
And then you've got a couple other $1 million properties after that at 1.275, another 1.275, 1.18.
Raven, one of them?
Yep, one on Raven.
So how many, if you don't mind me asking, how many, let's call it $1 million homes sold on the golf course, and how many $1 million homes sold off the golf course?
That's a great question. So let's see, we've got...
Well, the 1.35 sold that was on the golf course.
Yep, this one on Hunting Lodge is the golf course. That's one. This one on Hunting Lodge is the golf course. That's two. That's it.
That's it.
Right? And so you've got 2 of the 8 that sold on the golf course. That is...
So 6 of 8 were non-golf course properties.
Non-golf course properties.
Wow, that says a lot about our community and people investing in our neighborhood, improving their homes, and the desire to live here, right?
Yeah.
And it also tells you if a golf course property comes up for sale, jump on it if you can, because they are rare commodities.
Yeah,
Very
super rare. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, those are basically by the numbers.
There are a lot of houses on the golf course that are upwards of $2 million easy.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
they're big and they're fairly new. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And then you have, of course, the real big one that's like 11,000 square feet, the big Pueblo style house.
Well, that big one that's almost like 3 stories or has a tower to it.
Yeah.
That one's 11,000 square feet.
I think that's the biggest house in the Springs.
Well, that has multiple structures, right? It's got
No,
like 2.
it's just one big Pueblo style.
Oh.
That is amazing because that home, if I remember correctly, was built in the 90s, right?
Yeah,
It was
correct.
built in the 90s, and they built it
They
with
built
that
it.
Pueblo style.
Yes, they did.
That was awesome, and that is a big,
That's a big
house. So that's probably the biggest outside of the Curtis Mansion, but maybe even bigger than the Curtis Mansion.
I think it's
Might
bigger
be.
than the Curtis Mansion.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's an exceptional home there
I
on
mean,
the golf
we'll
course.
get that information. Next time we get together, we'll say, hey, look at this. This is the biggest.
So what was the largest square footage sold last year, if you have that?
So let's see. It looks like we have a 5,185 square foot house. Oh, is this 2021? Sorry, this is 2021. So 2022, the highest was, let's see,
The biggest square feet wise.
the biggest, yeah, 3,800 square feet.
Wow.
Got a 3,800 square foot. I'm sorry, I found one for 3,900. That's the second most expensive. 3,900 square foot house that was over on 2251 Ludlam Drive. I remember
Okay.
that property. That property sold for 1.275.
1.275.
It's a 2-story, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Facing Ludlam.
Yeah, that was almost a brand new home. That was built in 2011.
Yeah.
Real big property, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Yeah, it's a beautiful house.
But it goes to show that it doesn't have to be on the golf course,
No, not
and people
anymore.
are people willing to put their money here and invest in our
Yeah.
community. And so, looking well before we go into the forward-looking stuff, what was the most affordable home sold last year?
Let's take a look.
And well, last year I mean 2022.
And are we taking Virginia Gardens?
Yeah,
into account?
VG Springs and VG.
and Miami Springs.
All right, so we've got one at 117 Pine Avenue. Any
Okay.
guesses?
460,
Less, 340,000.
Wow.
340.
This property, I believe, is a
It's probably
very
wood
very
frame,
small
too.
wood frame home. This is a 918.
It's on Pine. That's right. That's some of that wood.
Yeah, wood frame home,
yeah.
under 1,000 square feet.
Yeah, this is a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, under 1,000 square feet, built in 1942, with 7,600 square foot lot. So a pretty small lot as well.
Right.
But for somebody who wants to redo that house, because I remember that house also needed updating.
Yeah.
It's a nice little lot for them. You have another one at Truxton, 181 Truxton Drive, that sold just above that at 350,000. Also under 1,000 square feet, basically the same setup.
What month was that sold?
Fixer uppers.
I don't have the month here.
Okay.
I would have to pull it.
No worries. But it's curious.
Fixer
Just,
uppers,
yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there may be some gems that may pop up this year for people that are fixer-uppers, for someone trying to get in. But again, call your realtor because they're the first ones that can tell you when something like that hits the market. So it's important to work with a realtor.
There are always gems that pop up.
Yeah.
Handyman specials, you like to call them.
Right.
Houses that are nice footprint, but they need work. And for the right buyer, you need to really be on top of those, because a lot of people are looking for those types of properties, investors as well.
Yeah.
So you need to be competitive, you need to be quick to act, and when those come up, take the opportunity, because they're, like you said, they're very rare.
it'll go fast. Something like that will probably go fast.
Yeah.
So looking forward and I know it's always difficult with interest rates, but what you were sharing earlier is that prices seem to stabilize.
Mm-hmm.
And sellers no longer necessarily have the upper hand right now. It's been more of an equilibrium. Is that fair to say?
Well, when you look at equilibrium in the market, they want, more or less the industry looks at 6 months inventory supply.
Got it. Okay.
Right now we're about 3.3 months of inventory, not 6 months.
So still sellers have a bit more advantage.
It's still
Okay.
transitioning, Sellers need to be realistic on their pricing, because the demand is less because of the higher interest rates. And we'll see what happens, but the values are still strong.
And there aren't no new homes being built. As I tell people, because They're building condos, and you can get condos in certain places, but the detached single-family home with land
Yeah, it's not.
there aren't new ones out there.
No.
There's no place west of Doral that's getting built. There's no place north of Hialeah that's really getting built. It's maybe up in North Broward or down in South Dade.
We're way down south.
Yeah. So there's a reason why being centrally here in Miami Springs, where you save half an hour going to work, half an hour coming back from, that's 5 hours a week in saved time that people get back if you have to commute for a living, and you got kids going back and forth.
Oh my God.
Living in Miami Springs is a godsend.
It's priceless.
It really
Especially
is.
when you have to commute that like that,
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I've talked to many people that live, in South Dade. They want to move, and they work on Brickell. So they tell me it's an hour and a half each way. You do the math, 3 hours each way commuting, times 5 days a week, that's 15 hours that you spend in your car, stressed out, in traffic jams, where's your quality of life?
Yeah.
So they move into Miami Springs because they work on Brickell. So now that hour and a half becomes 20 minutes, 30 minutes each way.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, have you seen people that are upgrading and say maybe they had a home in like I said, in South Dade or in another area, their equity has gone up because generally the market has gone up in value, so they find this equity they can have. They can put a sizable down payment on a home here in Miami Springs and say, you know what, I'm tired of this drive, and they want to upgrade and get a second home or a third home, or whatever it is in their life, but they want to move to here. Are you seeing some of that?
Well, you're seeing people that they're discovering Miami Springs. Like I mentioned earlier, we're seeing doctors, lawyers, young professionals coming in because they realize, wow, I can live in a nice home, or I can buy a nice home with a big lot and then add a nice addition to it.
Sure.
The pool, the master bedroom, which if you drive around, you'll see a lot of that going on in Miami Springs.
A lot of that.
We've also had a couple clients that went from Miami Springs to Miami Springs. We had
Correct.
We had a few people who actually sold their smaller
Or
home.
VG to Miami Springs.
VG to Miami. That's right. VG to Miami Springs was a couple of them. Sold a smaller but very nicely updated house.
Right.
Got great money for it.
Got great money for it, and then bought a larger, not as updated home because they needed the space.
Right.
And then they got a decent amount of money from their sale.
Yeah.
Put a down payment that they could afford, but then had a large chunk of change to do the upgrades in their forever home.
Right.
So we had a few of those actually that just sold
Like I
a
said,
nice
they put a
home.
large down payment. They got their dream house.
Yeah.
And their payments aren't even that much different than it was from the smaller house.
From the smaller home.
So we had a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of upgrading.
Yeah, we did have a few of those.
So maybe this is the time. Hey, you want to upgrade and move from a smaller home to a larger home. We'll make the move, or you're in a different community and want to move to maybe similar size home, but move to a more centrally located community.
Yeah.
Live in paradise, raise your family, and the quiet streets of Miami Springs. Move on down and gosh, whether you got to go to the airport, you got to go to downtown. We have such easy access to everything from
Yeah,
here.
it's great.
No, it's
It's the location, you really can't beat it.
yeah.
Location.
Location.
Amen. That's
And
what
that's what we
I
have.
keep telling people, because there's no other place you can find this.
Yep.
That's what we have. We're blessed.
Final words to buyers and sellers in this market today.
I guess I'm gonna do this for the first time. The annexation didn't go through, but
Right.
please let your commissioner know that you're in favor of it because it'll decrease your property taxes.
Amen.
So that would be a good thing. So if you can just send commissioners a quick note
Yep.
that you're in favor of that, initiative, it would help everybody.
What he said.
We'll do that. Any other final words for anyone who's interested in buying and selling here in Miami Springs?
Well, we always say if you're a buyer, get pre-qualified. Don't go out and buy that car or get into that lease payment. Get pre-qualified. That way you know exactly what you can afford. And then call us and we'll be happy to represent you and show you around and find you the right house.
Call Aldo at Frenzy.
Call all of
Yeah,
that
great.
Firenze.
He's
He's
great work.
I use him all the time personally. My family use him. A lot of
Yeah.
clients use him. Great guy,
He is great.
straight shooter, and very knowledgeable. So, but yeah, do that if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, call us. We'll let you know what the market is, what we think you can get for the house, and then we'll make it happen.
You could reach us at Facebook. We answer all of our messages as fast as possible at Leonard Real Estate Group. Same thing with Instagram at Leonard Real Estate Group. Charlie, number, contact info.
You can call me directly at 305-726-8416, which is the office number and also my cell phone.
And Sean?
And I'm at 786-205-0187. Call us anytime.
And then you can also find all the information at LeonardRealEstateGroup.com. Guys, as always, wish you guys the best in 2023, and can't wait to see what the mid-year report says and what's going to happen this
Forward to
year.
it as well. Yeah.
I can't wait for it myself.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all that you do for our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.